Hello everybody, this is Maniac4Bricks, and I'm here today with the LEGO Simpsons Send in the Clones MOC. This is long overdue for the video, but I'm happy I finally got time to cover it. This was made in 2016, and I'm finally going to retire this from my regular convention displays. But before I take it all apart, I'd still like to get a look at it all the way around, since I've only taken pictures of its development and not when it was fully completed, or once or twice just for Instagram where it's just a close-up and not covering the entire MOC. For those who don't know, this is based on a short from the Treehouse of Horror series, which usually airs a new episode every Halloween or so with The Simpsons. In this short, Send in the Clones, Homer tries to clone himself multiple times in order to accomplish chores around the house. However, the clones find a way to clone themselves and becomes a Springfield-wide epidemic. And as a way of getting rid of all the clones, they took care of everyone by luring them with donuts and dragging them off a cliff. Kind of like a lemming sort of situation. And there was more than just one helicopter here. I just didn't want to make a whole bunch for the scene and crowd it up. Also, other complications, but I'll get into that in just a bit. So it was actually fun going through this scene. It's one of my favorites from The Simpsons in general, so I thought it would be fun to recreate it in LEGO form. It's pretty basic as far as the construction goes, nothing too much to see. The homers are probably the highlight of the entire thing. The landform is pretty, has a few features here and there, a little bit different in color, and had just enough brown, tan, dark bluish gray, medium dark flesh, and dark tan and light bluish gray to make this work. There's actually a whole bunch of tan on this side of it with some brown in between, but didn't quite work. It's not really that great on the camera. But on this side, I just tried to make it more for rock formations, just using burps and lurps in here to cover for the cliff side. I know that this would have been a larger cliff in the actual episode, but I wanted to at least get the idea across. And I didn't really have enough parts to really increase the height of this thing, not only for the outside brown areas of it, but also the interior with a lot of filler brick. I'm really happy with how this thing came out because it actually is making it easier when it comes to packing and transporting it. This thing splits in two because it is built upon two 32 by 32 base plates, if you don't count the helicopter and the donut extensions. So what makes it easy about that is there are two cardboard boxes I usually use that are a little bit taller than this and just the right width so that each section can fit into their own cardboard box. And what's also good is I have a little bit of extra space along the cliffside to hold some of that stuff, like for the donut or its stand or even the homers. But I actually came up with another method that makes it also easier to store the homers all at once and not take up too much more space in the boxes. Here's the back side of it that I would normally see as an exhibitor, and as you can see there, it's a lot of filler brick. Lots of color all throughout. It is not completely solid on the inside. It actually does have some hollow areas here and there. It has just enough structure underneath it to hold all the plates along the top of it. I do know that there is a fine line of color and it doesn't look great, blah blah blah, but I just wanted to get the bare minimum taken care of, and I had just enough plates to pull this thing off from larger pieces. Without using like really small green and bright green plates. There's this area on the side that I can knock over, and basically all my homers fit in this homer cave. It's just anywhere inside of here that's hollow, the homers can be thrown into there, and it makes it easy to pack it up when I leave. And then when I come to the next convention, I just have to open that area up and dump them all out. Sometimes they do get stuck in there since there are a little bit of a maze format for the interior of this thing, but it still gets all of them out eventually, and also a neat way of holding them together so I don't feel like I missed a homer or two from my MOC. As if missing one or two of them is going to change the entire MOC itself. As you can see here, I did some extra support when it comes to setting up the helicopter and the donut. And the helicopter is actually a brand new extension just for this video. I did not previously have a helicopter in displaying this MOC. Maybe once or twice when I started debuting it, but after that point, it was incredibly heavy and I didn't have the right parts to make it blend in with the rest of the environment. So I decided to scrap that and still keep the donut on its own stand, which by itself was a hard thing, weight-wise, to balance it out. But I'm happy now that I have enough of these trans clear pieces that I could hold a smaller helicopter up here. I know it's not accurate to the one in the show. The one I built in the show was incredibly large and incredibly heavy, and that was just for one helicopter, and it was all in dark bluish gray. It had a couple windows here and there, but it would have fit way out of character for the rest of the thing. I mean, it may have fit okay compared to the donut, but I think this looks good either way. This is actually a Jurassic World helicopter from the Pteranodon attack or ambush or something like that. I just didn't add the stickers onto it, so I could use it as a helicopter for any purpose. I know I have the stickers somewhere, but let's move on from there. I also did get a whole bunch of trans clear pieces to help with the homers that are falling off of the cliff, so that you can see them in mid-action right there. And I did just throw a couple of them down at the bottom. Some of them are actually on medium dark flesh jumpers, and even some of them I would just twist the legs around so it looked like they're face planting but still attaching to a pair of studs. As far as how many homers are in here, like I said before, if I missed one or two from conventions, it's usually not a big deal. But as far as what's in here, it's about 53 homers, last that I remember counting. When I was working on this project, I had good help from Factory Fresh Bricks, a friend of mine, Brian, from New Jersey, who hooked me up with a bricklink seller that had oodles and oodles of parts for Homer Simpson, and relatively cheap too, even though it was outside of the US. But I had a good time with getting all those almost all at once. Gave me 30 or more of them, which was enough to really. Also, I do apologize that the camera stand is not really cooperating. But among what's Homer's in here...
I am too smart. I am too smart. I am too smart. I am too smart. S-M-R-T. I mean S-M-A-R-T.
What's also fun about the homers that are in here, some of them I actually got only just heads or certain parts for them. I mean, the heads are probably the most important part because of this. So you can see a couple of them that are in here that have different torsos or legs that are on them. So this one here is from Brick Fair 2016. We have a soccer one here from Canada. Hello, Canada. This one was actually a custom sent to me a while ago from Brick Lover 18, just as a surprise gift, surprise haul if you may. We have one here based on McDonald's. We have one I've custom made once or twice before with Garden Slug, and the back of it says Garden Sluggers as a baseball mock, which I've probably done a video or two about before, and if I haven't already, I will do it later. This one was a custom I made with Brick Sanity Customs for the Brick Theorists. And there's a couple other ones in here that are just generic prints that are from other LEGO themes, usually past ones. Some of them I would only just change maybe the pants or, have a very similar shirt to it. This one actually was from Series 2 of the Simpsons collectible minifigs. This one I think has Martin Prince's torso and like a different pair of legs. Similar arrangement here. I got the birthday there. And I have... Oh, there it is. I knew there's another one out there, but I couldn't remember where exactly I put him. The fun thing about this is each of those homers, as like the entirety of the homer arrangement, changes every convention. And what's fun about all those that I did, they're supposed to be like a Where's Waldo situation, like a fun Easter egg that you can look through and try to find certain homers. I've always encouraged that, even when I developed a mock card with Brick Fair, but I never fully made a list of which homers were there. But it was still a fun thing to do, especially because in the episode there were mutant versions of Homer. Different ones that had different outfits or shapes to them. I wanted to throw a Peter Griffin in there, but it wouldn't have been Lego, would have been K'NEX, but I digress. But other than that, it was actually fun with arranging all of them, and, every time they get set up differently. Sometimes they'll put a tree line back here for the force that will be behind the cliff, and things like that. But it's still, something that I really had a fun time of putting it all together and seeing how it would turn out. It was actually a smaller mock in terms of height, but it was still a wide enough mock that caught people's attention. It was something that, I think it's like the second Simpsons mock that I've made so far, and it's actually impressive how every convention people would, generally like it. I can't say there was anyone that really despised this mock, but they would call it Homer Lemmings if they didn't recognize it was from that episode of The Simpsons, but it was still a good time to be had by all. And I also want to thank Bricks Anywhere, who was also at one of the conventions that helped me out with getting a couple homers, and I do know him as a fellow Instagrammer and YouTuber in the LEGO community. Quick shout out there. But it had its good run. I think it's time for me to take all these parts and make them into other cool MOCs later on. I definitely have some good ideas as far as the base plates, since those are something I use now more regularly with the shelf showcase videos. You know, the ones where I do certain themes on every shelf. Those will be good to use like right away. The rest of the parts I can easily use for other mountain structures, and hopefully I can gather more that could work with it. Hopefully more brown pieces, because for some reason I don't have a good amount of those. And as far as the homers go, well, it's always been a hard thing for me to figure out what the homers are going to do, but I'll find a way to use them later on. Maybe they'll be Easter eggs in some other MOCs or other convention displays or something, as an homage back to this one, which was having a fun run. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below. Have you seen this MOC before? I know the last appearance that I had was Philly Brick Fest 2018, and that was just a shy, very subtle appearance on, I think, Sunday night or Sunday midday. So it wasn't something I wasn't planning to have there, but since there was enough space, I thought it'll be good to have a little bit of a fading away sort of finale. So we'll see you next time with more LEGO videos, and thanks for watching.